Hey there, welcome to the Traveling Homesteader and Gyroscope Farm. I'm Kathy, and this is where we learn about being self-reliant. We can do all sorts of different things to help ourselves be prepared and kind of be more self-reliant rather than relying on other people. So this episode is a little bit about shopping, but it's about shopping in the season or shopping the sales. Now, you guys have been probably seeing the news. There's a lot of things going on, fires, floods, recession, pandemic, the whole 9 yards. But we can still prepare and still kind of set ourselves up for success. And part of the reason why I'm here at Walmart is I had to go pick up some other things. But while I was here, I wanted to kind of share with you guys a few thoughts. One, as you can see, I'm kind of in the school section. And so school sales are going on, and you've probably already, if you have children in school, you've probably already gotten lists of things that you need for your elementary school, middle, and high school kids. Even if there's, anyone going back to college, you'll probably need something similar for college. Now, when you shop these sales, it helps you get them at a greater price, but this is also a great season to be getting things for emergency preparedness, for camping, for like batteries and lights and all sorts of good things. So part of the things that we're going to look at today are just finding things in the season for the future. In past videos, you may have seen me promoting the idea of having a foldable unit, a file folder unit like this to help store things. In this case, this is a nice 8.5 by 11 size one with different sections that you can put tabs in and everything. Has the nice notes back here too. These are good for storing personal files that you may want to keep in an emergency. So, for example, if you were to get do a kind of a to-go bag for yourself, this would be a great item to store all your personal files in it that you needed to take in an emergency. So your, insurances, your copies of your passports and licenses, anything that would be important documentation, you can put in something like this, and it's only $5.48. You can get a fancier version here for $12.44. So you can have a nice assortment of choices here to get something that would be good for an emergency. In this case, it's in the stationery section of this Walmart, but you can use it for like an emergency kit. Something else that they have here that is really good to have around are these handy dandy index cards. Now, these index cards I happen to use for recipes, so I have my own recipe cards. They even have them in nice bright colors if you choose. Now, the type of item I use is like what I just showed you, but you could put them in an index card box, which is a nice portable item as well. But they have these other totes and storage things for little kits if you need to. So when we think about school supplies and sales, you can find and figure out all sorts of good uses besides school for these items here. Something else to consider for an organizational item to have around are these 3-ring binders. Now, these binders can be used similar to some of the other things for recipes or emergency files, but you can get these here brand new at full price or even sale price. In this case, like a 1-inch binder for $3.97, along with some dividers, which are, it's all in one spot. But another place you may want to consider looking for something like this is at like a Goodwill or St. Vincent de Paul's. Same idea, maybe cheaper. You can get them for $1 or even $2. So again, you can find different avenues to get what you need to set yourself up for some success. You don't have to spend full price on all sorts of different things. Just as a side note, I happen to be over at St. Vinny's, St. Vincent de Paul's, as some people call it. And I had mentioned earlier about binders, finding binders at St. Vinny's, and they're definitely a lot cheaper. This one is $1.99 for the 3-inch size one, and this about 2-inch or full 1-inch size is 99 cents. So these are a fraction of the cost of the ones at Walmart, and they're still in good working condition. So something you may want to consider is shopping around for things at different places to find the deals that you really want. Sales are good. Bargaining with people. If you know somebody who's moving and they don't need some binders, say, hey, I'll take that if you want something of mine. Maybe eggs, who knows. So that's something to consider too, is that, using whatever system works for you in your setup, the better. But remember, something like this folder or these binders, along with the binders I just showed you, or the folders I just showed you, is that the premise is to put all the things in it that you need in case you need to leave in an emergency. Copies of your car titles, your mortgage agreements, your bank accounts. Sometimes when you have to pick up and go, like in the case of the flood in Tennessee, those people had to pick up and go almost instantly. If somebody had this prepared with all the information they needed in it to pick up and go, they could have it a little bit easier go on the other side of it. Instead, some people will probably be needing to scramble and show ID and have a little bit harder row to hoe because they didn't have this information in a place where they could just pick up and go. In the case of the emergency preparedness department, this happens to be, again, first aid, but they're doing it in the school department, because nowadays schools are asking for people to have simple kits on them, on their children, or in their bags for at school. But you can see here these simple first aid kits. As you can see here, this is a nice simple first aid kit with 80 pieces. Has all sorts of good things for a basic kit that your child or you could have in their bag, or in your car, or in other places. Now, you can get this particular kit at my Walmart in Eugene, Oregon for $9.82, which isn't a bad deal. But you can also go and pick up different things like this antiseptic, Band-Aids. You can create your own first aid kit or kits at a rather reduced price if you'd like to. So again, getting things in season or when on sale can be really helpful for a number of reasons. Getting something like this sink and table setup is an added bonus. Now, this happens to be $214, but you can make another setup that's probably a little cheaper if you don't want to spend that much money. But having even a grill like this is really pretty good. So you can get a stack up on, say, charcoal or propane, along with all these other tools that you can use for an outdoor kitchen or barbecue. So that could be an option for you too. And remember, you can even make your own sauces and seasonings to help cook. Even getting things in the clearance aisle is pretty handy to know that, like, these items change color. So fun party things that you could have in your outdoor kitchen or any time of the year, you can use you can find in the clearance aisle. Now, the thing is, with what I understand from Walmart, is that there may be even a greater discount to come on items here pretty shortly. So keep that in mind, that when you're looking to go shopping for things, keep your ear to the road to find out what sales there might be. And so while we're thinking about emergencies and self-reliance for ourselves, we may also want to consider our animals. And in some cases, if you're like me and have dogs and cats, there's a way to help them as well. And that's why I'm in this dog section and cat section to help find some things like extra bowls, or even some extra food that will help me to set them up. In fact, part of this video, we're going to be seeing how I set up my own kind of to-go bag for my dogs and my cats. That way, I know when something happens, if heaven forbid a fire comes by my house, I can kind of grab up my animals, put them in the car. My dogs already get in the car on their own. The challenge is the cats. So, with that in mind, I'm going to try to get all I can together in a bag for my animals as a to-go bag, and that's something we'll look at here. So keep in tune in a little bit for what I'm going to do for a to-go bag for my dogs and cats. But when you have a larger animal, say like a cow or alpaca or horses. You're going to need a bigger setup for them, or know who can help you take them from point A to point B. So that's something else to do, that you can have a binder, a farm binder with information on all your animals. That could include insurance, pictures, sheets of paper on each animal you have. Say you have, I don't know, a 16-hand thoroughbred mare who's named Tracy, whatever. You can have information on that animal, say type of animal, breed, sex, all sorts of good things. Even a picture, as current a picture as you can have, so you can identify this. If you happen to have insurance on, say, that horse, you can have the insurance information on that horse. That way, in any case that you have the off chance of getting separated, you can identify that horse with the information in your binder that you have. So with that in mind, let's see what else we can do to help us become more self-reliant and kind of set up for an emergency before it happens. The other great thing about summer sales is going to different stores, like now that I'm in Joann's, and finding things on sale. Like these things the spring stuff is on sale for 70% off here, which is way awesome. But there's also things that you can find that are great ideas, like these, that you can make yourself and figure out a way to make it for even probably less, possibly, for the 70% off or whatever sale price you might find in your area. So when you come into different stores, it's not only seeing what they have for sale or regular price, but giving you ideas about what you can do as your own DIY. And that way, you can save money and learn a new skill as well. So while at Joann's, I got poking around and realized that they have a sale right now going on patterns. And so I am picking up actually a couple of patterns. Now, depending on the pattern brand, like Vogue or Butterick or McCall's, they'll have slightly different prices. But when Joann's has a sale, they have a sale. And so I'm going to pick up a couple of patterns that look interesting to me through Butterick right now at $1.99 a pattern. And at least on the price, on some of them have prices. They usually are between about $17 and $20 a pattern. Now you can reuse these patterns over and over again for different, if you want to. Some people don't. Some people may use these patterns to make their own pattern pieces, which is a good thing. But again, it's the sale idea. You can save a lot of money if you follow the sales, and you can do them at different times of year. So sometimes you may be thinking, like right now, it's the end of July here in Oregon, and I could be thinking about Christmas right now, depending on the sales I look at. So I think about my parents and their gifts. So if I wanted to make something, in fact, I did pick up a pattern not that long ago, a pattern to make something for my dad and his walker, which will help me have a gift for him later on at Christmas, which is very helpful. So that's another thing to think about is, if you want to give gifts or find a means of doing something nice for other people, or if you want to start your own little business, know what you want to look for at different times of the year, so then you can essentially pick it up cheaper, because with the cost of inflation going up, I think it's been on the news a fair amount lately that it's gone up, that inflation's at about 9% now. So anytime you can find things on the down low, it usually helps the pocket. So in this last segment, we're going to talk about putting together a to-go bag that's geared towards animals. Because as we've been talking about, there's certainly a whole lot of emergencies going on where people have to leave their homes rather quickly. In the case of the flooding I believe in Kentucky, there's fires going on in California and even here in Oregon. There's all sorts of different things where people are needing to leave their homes rather quickly, and it's a whole heck of a lot easier to grab a bag and go that's already been pre-planned than having to search around and pick and choose in the last moments before you have to leave your home. So in this section, we're going to talk about things that we've already collected that are either free or on sale, or we've gotten at a great discount at a place like Goodwill or St. Vincent de Paul's. So this is actually going to be what I'm calling an animal kit, because I've also had horses where I've had to have an emergency kit for them as well. So you can kind of modify this a little bit more towards what you have, whether it's goats or dogs or cats or a combination. So some of these things we'll talk about kind of cover a wide range of things. But we're also going to put in a couple of things for ourselves. Now, those things for ourselves, in case we forget in another spot, if we forget to pick up our own bag, what I've put together in this is just literally bare essentials. Toothpaste and toothbrush. Pretty simple. This little kit that I'm going to show you is actually one we've talked about in a previous video of service kits. But in this, I've actually put together for a person. And so there's things like a small lotion. And this is part of another one. This is some tissues for blowing your nose. Breath strips. You know, a little first aid kit geared towards a person, you know, a nail set for like trimming your nails and things, and then facial wipes. So this is something that, just in case you need to pick up and go and you forget stuff for yourself, you have something for yourself as well. Now, the rest of these items are more things that you can use for animals, but you can actually, like in my case, I access this on a regular basis. So it's available to me regularly because I have to use things out of it a lot. But you can also pick it up and go in an emergency. So the first things first is what holds it. And so I ended up literally finding this backpack the other day, and it suits my needs actually to a T. It's nice and wide. It has a couple of different pockets in it that we can put things in. But part of the reason why I like this one specifically is because I'm going to be having this 2-gallon bucket. Now, near where I live and where I go, there's a company called Coastal Farm and Ranch. And when they have new stores opening, or they're at shows at various different locations outside of their own store, they give away these 2-gallon buckets for free. So I've gotten a couple of these along the way, but you can also purchase them for under $5 at their store. So this is going to be the base in our bag. So everything else will kind of be placed into that or around that. Now, that's why this bag was kind of good. So know what you're wanting to put in. And I put this in because I can use it for water for my dogs. If you have larger animals, you can use it for grain to feed them out of, and that sort of thing. This fits right nicely, barely, in this bag. So now that we have that in the bag, okay, that's going to help this stand up rather nicely. So that as our base, you can kind of go and put in more. Now the things for me, I'll drop right in. And I do have my toothbrush and toothpaste in a bag, a Ziploc bag. And so Ziploc bags are rather handy, especially for things that might leak, that you don't want to get inside a bag like this that may get over other things. So having Ziploc bags for liquids is especially great. And if you let all the air out before fully sealing, there you go. Now, something as simple as trash bags. So I've put together a couple of trash bags that can go in a space just around the bag or my container. Now I've also included a couple of different types of lights. Now, if you have any sort of hanging lights, this one can hang as well with a carabiner, one that doesn't necessarily have to hold a whole lot of weight. So carabiners, battery operated lights, these are helpful in an emergency as well. These again can go just right in our bucket. Now what I've done too is included a couple of different brushes. Now for me and my 3 dogs, currently I have a couple of these shedding blades, and I actually have 2 of them that I got actually when I had my horses. So these are great for horses, goats, cows, dogs, cats. These are great. But then you can also get, this is a flea comb. It's a little bit different idea, but again, you can, in case you need to get fleas and ticks off your dogs or cats or horses. These are great. So again, these are some different things. Now this is just a different type of grooming tool that I happen to have, and I'm going to put them in my container. Now, you can ask specific to your veterinarian, but having these St. Joseph's or low dose chewable aspirins, I found has been a kind of a help for having around the house for my dogs specifically. And you can give it to them when they are in pain as a means to getting them to another location. So in case, if you have any other medications that you want for your animals, make sure you get some extra medications that are prescribed from your veterinarian. But again, handy dandy item to have. So you also want to have some basic cutting tools. So I have some scissors. Now these are just simple scissors for cutting material or paper. Now this is, you can use for cutting bandages. You can have them using it for vet wrap. In fact, that's one thing that I have right now, or that I don't have right now, that I would suggest anyone get, is having vet wrap in here as well. And so that's something that I will be getting in the future, is some vet wrap for this specific bag. So again, these are all things I can just plunk right on in, nice and lightweight and easy to go. Now, hand sanitizer. This happens to be in little packets that I got at the dollar store. You can get, I think, 24, 25 of these little sectionals for $1.25. So again, really easy to have around, and they're in kind of single serving items. So in a kit like this, that works great. And again, I have some more tissues in case you have to use wiping noses of yourself or the animals. Having syringes to help clean out cuts or other items, or even cleaning off feet, are really helpful too. They're really manageable. Now this one happens to have a little cap on it that I wanted to keep, but you can keep that or not as needed. But syringes can be helpful for administering medications or even cleaning wounds up or anything like that. Now this is the one I'm debating on, because it is a liquid, it's a big item, it's a little heavier, but basically it's a shampoo for your dogs. And you can use this and have it included, but I don't know that this might be the best item to have this large for a kit like this, in case you have to pick them go. It would be a nice extra, you might say. But I do have something that's a little bit of a instead of, that could be helpful instead of this, in case you want to have a choice. So a little secret I found out from when I was in working horses in Connecticut. I had a Chow Chow German Shepherd mix that got skunked, and I was like, oh, I tried the tomato juice, I tried vinegar and water, I tried everything, and the smell still stayed with him. I couldn't get rid of it. I even tried all sorts of different things that I had accessible to me at the horse barn where I was, and I had to go back to the hotel, because I was in a hotel at the time on the road, and I had to go back and say, I'm so sorry, my dog got skunked. Well, the next day I go into the barn, and I was talking to the secretary of the barn, and she says the only thing that works is Vagisil, and it's the powdered Vagisil. So if you have this in your kit, this works wonders for deskunking and heavy or bad smells. I promise, it's strange. It's the oddest thing, but it has really been the only thing that's worked on my dogs, especially since that Chow Chow German Shepherd mix got skunked, that's worked at all. And so it works on long-haired dogs, short-haired dogs, and that's really kind of a great thing to have as an emergency. So again, these are all simple, easy things. You know, bandages, wet wipes for wiping down in an emergency if you don't have access to water. We even have what's called Mane and Tail Protect, and this is a cream to help with wounds. And this I've used on horses. I've also had it on my dogs for slight care. But again, this is a kit that I've been able to use on both dogs and cats and horses and sheep, because that's what I've had. So these are some different things that you might want to add to your kit. Now I've added zip ties and even a dog food can or cat food can lid in case you open one up, and you want to include that in here as well. I also am including a handy dandy, I'm also including a towelette that you can actually expand in water. So this can be helping wipe things down in case you need to. It's compact, it's easy. It's a dollar store find. So that's an item that you might consider. With that in mind, I'm also going to be including some water. This water I'll be putting in the pouches on the outside, or pockets on the outside of my bag. So I'll be waiting for that till I get there. But I will also be adding smaller soaps, and even a little bar soap. The bar soap might be a better idea to have than the liquid soap, because it's just more compact and it doesn't leak as much. And again, these things will be in a bag, a little Ziploc bag. That way it doesn't get out and about and cause problems in other places. Now, again, because of kind of where I was, I actually got this little handy dandy clipper I got for actually a sheep that I had that had a cut get infested by flies, and so I had to shave off. But it's battery powered, and so you got to have, if you have this set of clippers and the appropriate batteries to go with it, that helps as well. So battery operated clippers and lighting. Make sure you have your batteries separate from the item so that the battery doesn't go dead while it's waiting for the emergency. You have fresh batteries is the best way to go. And then we have a digital thermometer that, if you know the temperatures of each of your species of animals, that'll help you out as well. So you can kind of keep a recording of if they get sick along the way. That little thermometer can be helpful. With the thermometer, you may also want to consider having some Vaseline to help ease the slide in. Most animals get their temperature done rectally or in their armpit area. So if you do have to do a thermometer rectally, have the Vaseline with that. And if you have a dog, you may want to consider having a little setup like this, where there's a bag dispenser for helping to pick up poop if you need to, and this can just hang right on their collar or on their leash as need be. Now, as we get down to the bottom of these things, there's only a few more things left. Now, we have, because of, like I said, with my horse experience, I also have some fly repellent ointment that has been very helpful. In addition, I have a little bit, ooh, the bees are coming. They're even wanting to check things out. I'm also including a little bit of a notepad and pencil or pen to include that I can write down any notes I might need for helping to remember some things. Now, along the lines of first aid, I also will be including a couple of different types of gauze or padding that will be helpful in case I have an animal that gets a cut, a severe cut or something along those lines. And again, these will have, they'll have their own bags, and by having them in their own bags, it'll help them stay dry and as clean as possible, you might say. Now, with horses, I've also been inclined to include flannel wraps for different leg injuries that horses may have. So I also have some flannel rolls, which can be used in a variety of ways. So again, these are sometimes, depending on what animal you have, you'll have in your kit. If you don't have horses, don't take the flannel rolls. Just they don't matter to you. But you may have some other things like a gauze roll for wounds or that sort of thing. So again, we can put that in here. Now, the last few things that I will show you, this last one is kind of a toss-up. I ended up getting this through a first aid kit that I had for my horse that I got through the horse veterinarian. And so this is just a stethoscope that was really rather important, so we could hear stomach rumblings, heart, and that sort of thing. So I do have a stethoscope that I can hear the beating of a heart or the moving of the stomach. Because in the case of horses, they can colic, and there will be certain sounds that you have to listen for in their stomach. So that's why this is really kind of helpful. But remember to know how to use the stethoscope and kind of know what you're looking for. If you're unsure how to do that, they're rather simple to use. But make sure you know how to kind of look for what you need. Now, for the stethoscope, to be honest, I'm not sure what the price on that was directly. So that may be something of an an extra thing that you may want to consider depending on what you have and what you're doing. I'm condensing some things, so that's why I still have it and I still want to use it. So again, that's going to be something in my kit that's an extra. But the last thing that you might want to do, whether you have horses, sheep, dogs, cats, whatever, is to have a bit of a binder. Now this is one that I got when I was at Walmart the other day. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide in here and something to the effect of pet kit or pet information, animal information. And inside, I'm going to be putting in a sheet of paper for each of my animals. And I'm going to be having their name, their species, their breed, how much they weigh at the time, even a picture, if I can get a picture to put on there. And I'll just give some information about their age, you know, maybe medications they're on. So this is going to be something that I'm going to have specific to each animal. So in my case, because I have 3 dogs and 3 cats, I'm going to be having up to at least 6 pages in here, one for each animal. If I had my horses, the last horses I had 2 horses, so I could also include them. If I had my sheep, I can include them as well. So this is something that you can have and you can change out depending on what you have. Now, with this, the bonus points to my bag, and why I like this bag as well, was because even though the main area has now been pretty much filled by all that we put in it, you can kind of see it's been filled up, with the stethoscope being the last item that went in. And so that's been really helpful. But I now can put in this back section, because it's computer ready, I can put my binder of information about my animals in this back pocket and then slide it on up or close it on up. And what I can then do is take the water, and there's a water holder here, and then there's even another one over here, and that's that, you guys. That's my to-go bag, and it's all set and ready to go. Now there's a couple of different ways you can do this. I'm actually transferring all of this into this bag, and for the longest time I had my first aid kit here as a to-go bag, and this was a saddle bag that I could have used on my horses when I went trail riding. So again, this just would hang on the saddle and be fine. But I found I needed a little bit more room, and this particular bag worked out well. And as you can see, we had a lot of things that can go in here, and I can still actually fit more if I wanted to. So maybe I'm hoping that this will be of some help to you, and that if you want to add or delete certain things that you saw today in this video to your bag, that might be helpful for you. By thinking about your animals and yourself, as we have all these different emergencies, to create a to-go bag like this, or a bug-out bag, or an emergency bag, whatever you want to call it, that you can now feel like you are prepared to pick up and go as you need to. Now, the last thing that I might add, in fact, I have it right in my house, and I'll probably go do that right now, is I'll add an extra set of leashes and an extra set of collars for my dogs in case I need that. So again, this is a working bag. I use this on a regular basis, but I'll also be able to take it with me in case of an emergency. So I hope that you've kind of checked this out and had some good experiences with it. If you have any other questions, comments, concerns, or suggestions that you might want to add or delete from this, why don't you put it down in the comments section below. And thank you so much for coming back to the Traveling Homesteader and Gyroscope Farm. I do hope that you take the time to subscribe if you haven't already. And remember, this is another thing that is in our interactive ebook that I'll put the link down below as well, that you can find how to help yourself in an emergency, preparing for yourself and animals in case something happens. So thanks again for coming to the Traveling Homesteader, and as usual, it's great to see you.